So today I'll be showing all of you the project that I've been working on for the past 2 lessons, and it's basically using an ultrasound sensor, some buttons and an LED to make a home alarm system. And so first, the goal that I had with this project was to make a home alarm using an ultrasound sensor as like a motion sensor almost. So if you don't know an ultrasound sensor, it uses really sound waves that we can't hear, almost like sonar, like a bat would use as a motion sensor. And so my goal was to use that and use that as an input to go right to an LED, to a series of LEDs that would make them flash. And so what that would do is it would create a home alarm where it would detect a movement and then the LEDs would flash. So for the design, it's when the ultrasound sensor detects movement, then the LEDs start flashing. And so I'll use a bunch of ports, a bunch of computer ports, a ground port to make sure that's all stable. I will use a couple power ports, and I will also use a button just to make sure that I can control the system as well. And so for the actual build itself, I'm using 5 LEDs, 1 ultrasound sensor, a button, and 11 wires. And so that's just a picture of the breadboards. The breadboard is kind of what you plug all of it into. You can see over here, all of my things are plugged into there. I'm also using some resistors as well. So this is the program. It's a little bit difficult to see, but it kind of shows you all of my setup is up here, and then this is a while loop. So this means that this series of code just keeps repeating over and over, and all of this only happens once. So this is just setting everything up, and this is printing the values, and it's also just running all of the things that I want it to do. So for now, just test. So my first test was just using an ultrasound sensor to turn on an LED. And I found out from there that it wasn't very accurate, and you had to kind of stabilize your hand and make a little more of a general radius. For my first test, I said that so the ultrasound sensor can detect distance and in centimeters, and so I set it to just a certain amount, but that didn't work because my hand is constantly shaking a little bit, so it would detect between a certain range, and I learned that from my first test. And my second test was just as you move your hand closer, more LEDs turn on. And so that was kind of just helped me understand the code for ultrasound sensors better. For this project, I kind of knew what to do more. And so for rethink, this is just kind of what I would change if I were to make this again, and have it replicated on a large scale in homes and buildings. So, and obviously if you were in a home and you wanted to use this type of sensor with just a motion sensor and some LEDs, you'd also probably want a sound. If somebody breaks into your house when you're asleep and you don't hear them, then you probably want to you want to be able to tell. And so a little bit more specifically, the system turns off when you're holding down the button, so that if you want somebody to be allowed to get through, you can just hold down the button and they can go through. And so one thing I would do is that utilize the button in multiple ways, so that maybe just have a different button. And what you would do is you would have something to just turn it off. So if it's just once it detects movement, it's constantly flashing and blaring an alarm until you say, okay, it's clear, there's nobody inside the house, and then you can turn it off. And so now I'll just show you a demo. My thing is over here. I'll run the code now. And so basically, you can see these all these blue numbers. These are the ultrasound values. So this is what the ultrasound is reading. And you can see if I put my hand over here, it's reading different numbers of the teams now. For around 100 or so. And so you see the distance I have is 8. So once I move my hand close enough, I don't know if you can see, but the lights started flashing. And if I hold down this button, the lights stop flashing. And also if I just release the button, this means the lights will stop flashing. But yeah, this only turns on once I go to a certain radius. So yeah, that's my presentation of ultrasound home alarm. Yeah.
Great. Well done.
All right. Can you show us again the lights? Can you just do on this side so we can see?
You want me to
Yeah, that's fine.
that a little bit?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the program is on right now still. As you can see, if you just put something in front of it, for example, my hand is the most obvious option, and the lights start flashing. And if you move it away, it stops flashing. And you see I put it back in range, it's flashing, but if I hold down the button over here, then it just stops.
Awesome. All right, let's give a round of applause.
Yay.
And applause.